Have you ever wondered how to stay active and healthy well into your 90s? Imagine a 93-year-old doctor who still gives lectures, writes books, tends to a garden, and hikes with his grandkids without breaking a sweat. I'm Dr. Edward Young, and at 53, I was told heart disease would kill me within a year. Yet here I am, thriving decades later, all because of one simple secret. It's a secret that involves 5 everyday foods. Stick with me until the end of this video, and I'll reveal the exact longevity diet I've developed over 60 years of medical research. Foods that boost your immunity, improve your health, and help you stay strong as you age, no matter where you start. Before we dive in, please like this video to help me share these lessons on healthy aging. If you haven't subscribed yet, make sure to subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss any future videos. If you like this video, comment 1, and if you don't, comment 0, so I can make better videos for you. Now, let's get started. One simple but powerful food to include in your diet is sesame seeds. You might think of them as just a decoration on a burger or sushi, but they're much more than that. These tiny seeds are packed with omega-3 fatty acids, antioxidants, and nutrients that are great for your heart and brain. They're not just a garnish, they're little powerhouses that can improve your health one spoonful at a time. Let me tell you about Martha Evans, an 83-year-old woman who came to see me. She had silver hair and a smile that could light up a room, though it was rare because she had been struggling with her health for over a decade. Her heart was failing, and she was taking 6 different medications every day, including blood thinners, statins, and beta blockers. Even climbing 1 flight of stairs left her breathless. Her lips were pale from poor circulation and her hands shook. One rainy Tuesday, Martha came into my office, leaning on her cane. "Dr. Young," she said quietly, "I just want to live long enough to see my grandkids' weddings." Her eyes were full of hope, and I knew her situation all too well. People stuck on medications, their bodies too weak to fight back. But Martha had a spark in her that I couldn't ignore. I decided to try something different. I told her to stop taking her pills for now and gave her a simple plan. Take a tablespoon of fresh sesame seeds every morning. Grind them fresh yourself, not pre-ground. Mix them with some thick, real honey, not the watery kind in the plastic bear. I told her to come back in a month. She was skeptical, but willing to try. Weeks later, Martha walked into my office. No cane, no shuffle, just a spring in her step and a big smile. And "Dr. Young," she said, "I walked 2 blocks to the bakery yesterday and I didn't need to sit down." Her health had improved dramatically. Her cholesterol dropped from 240 to 180, and her doctor reduced her medication. Within a year, she was down to just 1 prescription, and her circulation had improved. The best part? A video showed up in my inbox a while later. It was of Martha, dancing at her grandson's wedding. She was spinning around in a lavender dress, laughing and dancing with her grandson. I watched it 3 times, tears in my eyes. Her transformation was proof of the power of those tiny seeds. So, how can you use this for yourself? It's easy, but the details matter. Start with raw, unprocessed sesame seeds, white or black. Black seeds have more antioxidants, but both are good. Grind them fresh every day. A coffee grinder or mortar and pestle works best because pre-ground seeds lose their potency quickly. The fresh seeds will give off a nutty, earthy smell when you grind them. Take a tablespoon of the ground seeds and mix it with 1 or 2 teaspoons of real, raw honey, not the fake, clear syrup. The honey's natural enzymes work with the seeds to boost heart health. You can get creative with it. Add it to Greek yogurt with berries for breakfast, mix it into warm rice or oatmeal, or spread it on whole grain toast with a little cinnamon for extra antioxidants. Make it a habit to have it every morning before your day gets busy. Stick with it, and you might be amazed by the results. Consistency is key. Within weeks, you might notice your energy steadying, your pulse calming, and your mind sharpening. As the omega-3s and vitamin E go to work, sesame seeds aren't a cure-all, and they won't replace a doctor's care for serious conditions. But for Martha and countless others I've seen since they've been a game changer, a humble, affordable ally in a world of overcomplicated fixes. So next time you see those little specks on your bagel, don't brush them off. Grab a bag, grind them up, and let them start rewriting your story, your heart, and maybe your grandkids will. Thank you if you're still watching this video and finding these insights valuable. Please comment number 1 below to let me know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss any videos. Your support helps us continue creating good content to inform and inspire you. Now let's move forward. 2 fermented soybeans. Gut Gold fermented soybeans, natto to the Japanese, chong, guang in Korea, or simply that pungent stuff to the uninitiated, might just be the unsung heroes of longevity. They're slimy, sticky, and carry a whiff that could wake a coma patient. But don't let that fool you. Our ancestors, from ancient Asian villages to rugged farmsteads, swore by this funky powerhouse, passing down jars of it like heirlooms. Why? Because beneath that bold aroma lies a treasure trove of health benefits, a gut-reviving immunity-boosting life, extending marvel that modern science is only now catching up to. Packed with probiotics, enzymes, and nutrients like vitamin K2 and nattokinase fermented soybeans. Don't just sit in your stomach. They go to work, repairing, balancing, and fortifying. Take George Miller, for instance. At 86, he'd been wrestling with type 2 diabetes for over 4 decades. I met him on a crisp autumn morning, sitting on his porch in a faded rocking chair, his hands trembling slightly as he recounted his story. 40 years of needles. He said, his voice gravelly and tired. Insulin shots every day, sometimes twice. Tingling in my toes so bad I couldn't feel the floor. Some mornings, my eyesight's been fading too. Cataracts creeping in like fog. I told my daughter, I'm tired of fighting this thing. George wasn't just exhausted, he was defeated. A man who'd spent half his life battling a disease that seemed to have no endgame. I handed him a small jar of fermented soybeans. Traditional stuff, not the sanitized, flavorless junk you find in big box stores. 1 spoonful every morning. I told him mix it with a sprinkle of sesame powder if the smell's too much. He raised an eyebrow skeptical, but promised he'd try it. 2 months later, I got a call. My blood sugar's not spiking like it used to. He said, a hint of surprise in his tone. By the 6-month mark, his doctor cut his insulin shots in half. A milestone he hadn't hit in years. A full year and George was down to 1 shot a day. His toes weren't buzzing anymore, and his vision had stabilized enough that he ditched the magnifying glass for the newspaper. I ran into him at the park one Sunday, strolling hand in hand with his grandkids, a spring in his step I hadn't seen before. I've got hope again, he said, flashing a grin that lit up his weathered face. Didn't think I'd feel this good at my age. That's the magic of fermented soybeans. They don't mess around. The probiotics recalibrate your gut microbiome, taming inflammation and boosting digestion. Nattokinase, a natural enzyme, thins the blood and keeps your arteries clear, while vitamin K2 shuttles calcium. Where it belongs, your bones, and away from where it doesn't, your arteries. For George, it was like turning back the clock on a body worn down by time and disease. But it's not just about diabetes. Studies link this stuff to stronger immunity, better heart health, and even sharper cognition. Our ancestors didn't have the labs to prove it. They just knew it worked. Here's the catch. Not all fermented soybeans are created equal. Skip the mass-produced pasteurized versions lining supermarket shelves. Those are gutted of their live cultures and potency. You want the real deal? Traditionally made unapologetically sticky with that unmistakable pungent kick, I hunt down a local Asian market or a small batch producer online. When you open the jar, it should look alive. Threads of fermentation stretching like spider webs. When you scoop it out, the smell might hit you like a freight train, but that's how you know it's legit new to the game. Ease into it. Start with a teaspoon mixed into rice or broth. To mellow the intensity, grind some toasted sesame seeds into a powder and sprinkle it on top. It cuts the funk and adds a nutty warmth. Pair it with a drizzle of soy sauce or a dab of miso. If you're feeling adventurous before long, you'll notice the difference: energy that hums instead of sputters, a gut that feels settled instead of sluggish, and maybe even a little swagger in your step. George would tell you it's worth every funky bite, and he's got the grand kid-approved park laps to prove it. If you're still watching this video and finding these insights valuable, please comment number 2 below to let me know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss any videos. Your support helps us continue creating good content to inform and inspire you. Now let's move forward. 3. Ginseng the energy root. No, you don't need to break the bank or chase exotic remedies to harness the power of ginseng. Just small, steady doses can work wonders. Take Linda Carter, for instance, a 17-year-old retired night nurse whose story still sticks with me. For decades, she'd burned the candle at both ends, juggling grueling shifts that left her body. A shell of its former self, chronic fatigue, had settled in like an unwelcome guest, and her immune system was so battered she could barely fend off a common cold. What started as a sniffle often spiraled into something nastier. Pneumonia became her recurring nightmare. Every change of season filled her with dread, a quiet anxiety that knotted her. I'm scared to see my grandkids. She confessed to me one chilly afternoon, her hands trembling and icy cold, her voice barely above a whisper. She wasn't just tired. She felt fragile, like life was slipping through her fingers. I suggested she tried ginseng, not the overhyped, overpriced stuff you see in flashy ads, but the real deal, a 6-year-old root aged to perfection for maximum potency. I told her to keep it simple. Slice off a thin piece about the size of a quarter and steep it in warm water each morning. Keep the water at 160 degrees Fahrenheit. I said hot enough to coax out the good stuff, but not so hot. It kills the magic if the earthy, slightly bitter taste turned her off. I recommended a dab of honey, just enough to smooth the edges without drowning the flavor. Drink it first thing before the day gets its hooks in you. I advised. She nodded, skeptical but desperate enough to give it a shot. 3 months later, I barely recognized her. Linda walked into my office with a bounce in her step, her cheeks flushed with a rosy glow that hadn't been there before. I don't feel like I'm dragging a chain behind me anymore. She set her eyes bright by the 6-month mark. Winter rolled around, a season that used to send her into hiding, and she breezed through it without so much as a sniffle. No tissues, no cough syrup, no late-night trips to the ER. A full year in, she sent me a photo that made me grin there. She was strapped into a roller coaster, arms up, laughing beside her grandkids at an amusement park. I'm not afraid anymore. She told me over the phone, her voice steady and strong. I didn't realize how much I'd been missing. Here's how to do it right. Get yourself a quality ginseng root. 6 years old is the sweet spot. When the gin's genocides, the active compounds hit their peak. Slice it thin, no thicker than a dime, so it releases its essence without overwhelming the brew. Heat your water to 160 degrees Fahrenheit. Use a thermometer if you're picky, but a gentle simmer, just shy of boiling, works too. Steep the slice for 5 to 10 minutes, letting the liquid turn a pale gold. If the bitterness bites too hard, stir in a teaspoon of raw honey, nothing processed. Keep it natural. Sip it slowly, first thing in the morning, before coffee or chaos creeps in. It's not a quick fix, it's a slow build. Your stamina will climb, your energy will stabilize, and over time you might just feel like you've turned back the clock a notch or two. Linda's living proof ginseng doesn't just boost you, it brings you back. 4 shiitake mushrooms, cancers, faux shiitake mushrooms are far more than a savory addition to your stir-fry or soup. They're a powerhouse of health. Armed with compounds that bolster your immune system and wage war against cancer, I've seen their magic firsthand. In the story of Susan Brooks, a 75-year-old warrior from a small town in Oregon, is proof of what these humble fungi can do. Susan was diagnosed with stage 3 breast cancer at 68. She endured the grueling gauntlet of chemotherapy. Hair gone energy, sapped, spirit battered. After months of treatment, the cancer retreated, but the victory felt hollow. Chemo nearly broke me. She confessed to me one rainy afternoon over a cup of tea, her voice trembling like the leaves outside her window. I can't go through that again. Every twinge, every ache, I'm terrified it's coming back. Her eyes, framed by deep lines of worry, searched mine for something, anything to hold on to. I've been reading up on shiitake mushrooms, not the fresh ones. You toss into a risotto, but the dried ones gnarled and unassuming, packed with a potent arsenal of compounds like lenin and beta-glucans. Studies out of Japan and China had caught my eye. Lenin, a polysaccharide unique to shiitakes, had shown promise in clinical trials for boosting immunity and even shrinking tumors. Beta-glucans. Meanwhile, rev up your body's natural killer cells, those microscopic assassins that hunt down rogue cancer cells. I wasn't promising Susan a miracle, but I had a hunch these mushrooms could give her a fighting chance. Here's what you do. I told her, leaning forward, take 2. Dried shiitakes, about 10 grams total. Soak them in warm water for 20 minutes until they soften. Then toss them into a pot with 4 cups of water. Bring it to a boil and let it simmer for 15 minutes. Strain out the mushrooms if you want, or chop them up and leave them in for texture. Add a splash of lemon juice at the end. It brightens the flavor and helps your body absorb the nutrients. Drink a cup of that broth every day. Susan raised an eyebrow, skeptical, but desperate mushrooms. That's it, she asked. I nodded. Consistency's the key. Give it time. 2 months later, she called me, her voice lighter than I'd ever heard it. I'm sleeping through the night again. She said, no more. Waking up in a cold sweat, wondering if I'm dying. By the 6-month mark, she'd gone in for her routine scans and blood work. Her doctor called her back, puzzled, but pleased her immune markers. White blood cell counts, T-cell activity were through the roof, better than they'd been in years. The cancer, no sign of it. 5 years later, at 73, Susan's still thriving, gardening, laughing with her grandkids, living without that shadow over her shoulder. I'm not scared anymore, she told me last month, her eyes shining with a quiet triumph. Those mushrooms, they're my little guardians. So what's the science behind this? Dried shiitakes are nutritional dynamite. Lenin extracted from their cell walls doesn't just sit there. It signals your immune system to wake up and fight harder. Research from the University of Tokyo showed it can enhance the effects of chemotherapy while protecting healthy cells. In a 2015 study in the Journal of Alternative and Complementary Medicine, found that regular shiitake consumption improved immune function in healthy adults within weeks. Beta-glucans, meanwhile, are like rocket fuel for your macrophages and NK cells, helping them sniff out and destroy cancer cells before they can take root plus. Shiitakes bring antioxidants, vitamins like D and B6, and minerals like selenium to the table, all of which fortify your body against disease. How do you make this part of your life? It's simple, but the details matter. Start with high-quality dried shiitakes. Look for ones that are dark brown, slightly curled, and aromatic, not brittle or powdery. Soak them in warm, not hot water, about 100 degrees Fahrenheit for 20 to 30 minutes, to rehydrate them and release their goodness too hot. And you'll degrade some of those precious compounds. Boil them gently in water. 4 cups is plenty for 2 mushrooms, and let them simmer until the broth takes on a rich, earthy hue. You can strain it for a clear broth or keep the mushrooms in for extra fiber and flavor. That splash of lemon juice I mentioned, it's not just for taste. Vitamin C enhances the bioavailability of the beta-glucans, giving your immune system an extra edge. Sip a cup daily, warm or cold, and store the rest in the fridge for up to 3 days. Susan's not the only one who's benefited. I've shared this with friends fighting colds, folks recovering from surgery, and even a guy who just wanted to feel less run down. The feedback's been consistent. More energy, fewer sick days, a sense of resilience they hadn't felt in years. Is it a cure-all? No. Cancer's a beast, and mushrooms aren't a replacement for medical care. But as a daily ritual, a shield against the wear and tear of life, shiitakes have earned their place. In my book, if you're still watching this video and finding these insights valuable, please comment number 3 below to let me know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss any videos. Your support helps us continue creating good content to inform and inspire you. Now, let's move forward.